live.
What is good, everybody? It is UFC fight at an earlier time than average for us Americans. At least for me, it's 9 a.m. start time. We are in Abu Dhabi, where we got Magomed Ankalev, former champion, going up against Bogdan Guskov on short notice. I think a more compelling matchup than the original, being Khalil Roundtree versus Magomed. All in all, not a bad card. Usually, Abu Dhabi cards, Middle Eastern cards, they usually have good matchups. Never really see a bad one. Like you can't really remember like a terrible or a bad like Middle Eastern card. If there's anything you guys like to add, feel free.
Yeah, they
Mm,
just don't know how to please the sheeps. So none of these cards have terrible cards on them. Some have. There's some mid though. There's some mid.
eh, it's just chic slop. Like it's not really anything to impress me with. Um, it's all right. I guess it's better than the OKC card, but overall, we got to see how it performs.
I will say it's like lackluster compared to the like last three couple like Middle Eastern, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi cards. If you combine them, I'd say like this is like not as good. But without further ado, I'm ready whenever y'all are.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, sounds good. First fight of the night, we got Abdul Hussein making his UFC debut, 15-2, going up against Cody Gibson, a former contestant of the Ultimate Fighter, if I remember correctly. Um, I'm gonna go Abdul Hussein. Cody Gibson, no offense, 10 plus losses. Kind of question his, dedication to the game. I think he's like a history teacher. I don't blame him in this economy. Shit, you got to have multiple jobs, but nonetheless, can't definitively say his heart's 100% in it. He knows he's not going to be a champ or ranked or any like big aspirations career wise. Whereas Abdul Hussein, I mean, like it feels like he has a career ahead of him in comparison to Cody Gibson, who's much older. I'm gonna go Abdul Hussein. I'm just trying to think of what method. He's got 5 TKOs, 9 subs. I think I'll go sub. That just seems to be his favorite method of finishing a fight. Probably has a grappling background. He beat Tyson Nam. That's like a name. It's not a great one, but it's a name I recognize. Yeah, I'll go torn between first and second. It's his debut. I think he's going to try to, make a big name for himself. I'll go first round submission Abdul Hussein in his debut. I just don't think Cody Gibson's head's in the game for real.
Yeah, I got Abdul Hussein as well. I think Cody Gibson is just mid. Like I don't think he's good at all. Uh, I think he's gonna send him back to go in to do history class. School's coming up soon, so I think this one's gonna be wraps. I'll go first round finish as well.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with these guys like that are on the Ultimate Fighter and then just all of a sudden get plucked and thrown onto a card. I haven't watched a lick of the Ultimate Fighter, so I can't even tell you. But he's here. He's we can see is the Finland flag. I heard this week he's going to be repping Lebanon. He's like a Lebanese guy from Lebanon, and he's just not an old history teacher, as Tony said earlier. 28 versus 38. Abdul Hussein, I want to say, fought Makayev a long time ago, and that's one of his losses. And he actually did pretty good in that fight. Yeah, he took Makayev to a unanimous decision loss. He scrambled well in that fight. And like if that's your one of your only pro losses, I really don't mind that. And the other one is a guillotine choke back in the day. Whereas it feels like Cody Gibson is just getting KO'd or submitted, or at least KO'd by somebody every couple of months. Just not very good at this point. He was a longer, more powerful, explosive guy, kind of on the Ultimate Fighter, and he won because of it. And he was old then, but he's just gotten older since. I don't think he'll be able to do that against a more well-rounded guy with good grappling like Hussein. I think he'll get a TKO at some point in the first 2 rounds. Abdul Hussein, TKO.
All right. Clean sweep for the UFC debutants as we move on to the next fight in the lightweight division, where we have Nurilo Aliyev, undefeated out of Tajikistan, going up against Mike Davis, 12-3. Interesting fight. I'm not gonna lie. I want to pick Mike Davis. I think he clearly is the better striker. And Aliev's wins is like they're not that crazy. He went to a competitive decision against Alves in his debut. He's an explosive guy though, so it's like a tricky style on the feet, but still, it was very close. And he beat Shamrock, but that doesn't really tell me anything. I reckon Abdul Zawadi did about just as good, if not better, than Nurullo Aliev in hindsight when comparing both performances against Shamrock. As for Mike Davis, I feel like he is the better striker. I think Alex, like one time, told me that he won like a very high level striking competition. I'm sure he'll like go more in depth with that with his breakdown. He has decent grappling, but then like the Farisiam fight happens, and it's like he got out grappled badly there. Like that's Nurullo Aliev's game. I don't really see finishing potential in Aliev. Like he just hasn't really shown me that he's dominant in that regard. So I'm going to go with a competitive decision win for Nurullo Aliev here by the thinnest of margins, where his control time and takedowns will be valued higher than the damage and strikes of Mike Davis. And the thing that kind of like pushes me over the edge to go with Nurullo Aliev is Mike, I'm sure will break it down more in depth, but I don't know if similar to like what I said with Cody Gibson, I don't know if Mike Davis's head's in the game. He wants to like stream and like have a career outside of the UFC, which again, I get in this economy, you got to get money how you can, but I just don't know if your head's in the game. Whereas I feel like Nurullo Aliev he doesn't have a business on the side that he can fall back on. No, this is it. Like I have to be the Habib of Tajikistan type shit. So I think he'll win a very thin margin decision win where his control will be valued higher than the damage of Mike Davis. I'm going to go Aliev by decision, maybe even a split.
Yeah, I'm going Nurullo Aliev as well. I don't like Tony said. I don't think Mike Davis's headspace is right. I did an interview with Mike Davis not too long ago. Maybe his mentality's aged better now, but when I talked to him, bro didn't really want to talk about fights or anything like that. I get it. You're a fighter. You don't want to talk about your job. Tony works. He probably doesn't want to talk about his job when he's done working. Like I get that, but these Russian dudes or Caucasus regional fighters, all they talk about is fighting. All they want to talk about is work. They're tryhards. They're nerds into that high school game. Like that's what I would compare them to. Like I think Mike Davis is just not hungry like these other guys, and I would like to pick him. I'm not trying to like bash him. I think he's a good guy and all, a very nice guy, but he just doesn't come off hungry. Like Tony said, he'd rather go do Twitch streams or kick streams. Like he kind of just comes off like that. And while he's playing Hogwarts or whatever he's playing, Nurullo Aliev is just training in the gym, covered in other people's sweats and stuff, and just wrestling. Like if you know, those Caucasus regional fighter gyms are like full of cess pits of sweat. Like it's just disgusting. I'm going with Nurullo Aliev. I'm not impressed by him. At some point, I will probably fade him in the future, but I just can't. I'm gonna go with a split decision. Maybe I do think Mike could put up a fight. I think he is live on the feet, but I have to go with the one who wants it more, and I think Nurullo Aliev is probably going to be the guy that wants it more.
Yeah, it's a tough fight. You know, they definitely want Aliev to win, but Aliev really isn't good. He isn't who they make him out to be, like the next coming of Khabib or anything like that. He's got way shittier striking or way shittier grappling than Khabib. His striking may arguably be better, but that's not really saying that much. He let Shamrock win a round. That's pretty much what you need to know about him. Kind of a fraud. We're just kind of waiting for him to get frauded out. Mike Davis is a good guy to fraud him out. I won't lie. He's got decent grappling. He's got better striking, of course, than Aliev. And if like he can stuff a couple takedowns, this isn't just Shamrock. Like he's a way better striker than that. He'll be able to put up some on the feet. That being said, I feel like sometimes he gets too patient. He never really makes the fight not close, if you know what I mean. He never really wins by blowout. Sometimes he'll get a finish and stuff, but I remember the other Tony lookalike, fucking Mitch Ramirez. He had like genuine success against Mike Davis in the first round, and he's a bum, as we all know. I think Mike Davis is like a mental head case. I don't think he really wants to go far, like make a run or anything like that. I just think he wants to play the game and tell people he's a UFC fighter rather than actually fighting in the UFC. And Aliev's young. He's hungry. He represents a nation that doesn't have a lot of fighters, and he's more or less in his home turf. If this is close, Aliev should win. And I do think it'll be close. I think he'll get the takedowns at the right time. I think Mike Davis will struggle to show urgency. So I'm thinking like a split decision where Mike Davis probably should win, but he loses because we're in enemy territory, and he just can't make it that just much more, like, he can't make it clear. He can't make it clear in a fight like this where Aliev's going to be getting the takedowns in his home country pretty much, even though it's not his home country. But I think Aliev's going to win a close one just based on that. But Mike Davis can win this. This is a close one. I wouldn't bet on it, but the judges and the home turf make me lean slightly with Aliev. So I'll go with him, 29-28 split decision.
Clean sweep as we move on to the next bout on the card, where we have another UFC debut, Magomed Tuchalov, 6-0, going up against Brenson Rivero, 17-10. Man, it just feels like Brenson just fights like a bunch of undefeated like light heavyweights. Really, let's look at his last couple. Abdul Rahman Yakyayev makes quick work of him. Look like a 2 to 5 second little scare, but Yakyayev ended that very quickly. Umar C, before the Alonzo, not Alonzo, who was it? Who did Umar C lose to before? Yeah, it was Alonzo Menefield. Yeah, before the Alonzo Menefield loss, he was undefeated still. Like, the point I'm making is it feels like Nergazay was undefeated, Mirzakhanov was undefeated, Yakyayev undefeated, Umar C was 11-1, was a fight before undefeated. Like, they're just giving him tough fights. He's got 10 losses. He has above average frame for light heavyweight. He's like a rangy guy, 6'3", 81 reach. Pereira-esque intangibles, so to speak, just in terms of his height and reach, nothing to do with his skill or like him as a fighter. But yeah, I'm going to go Magomed. I'm yapping on this fight way more than I should. I just feel like they feed Rivero to these guys, and more often than not, he loses to them. 6'3", young, 26 years old, representing the Middle East, 5 TKOs in the sub, all finishes in his career. I'll go Magomed Tuchalov by first round TKO. I just think in UAE, in Abu Dhabi, like superpowers, like +5 on all attributes. He's just gonna fucking show out, and this is what Ribero's here for. They pretty much have made it very known, like, undefeated guy. Here's Brenton Rivero. That seems to be the play, and we're just gonna spam it. First round TKO, Magomed Tuchalov.
Yeah, I got Magomed Tuchalov as well. I think he's going to cook Brenson Rivero. Brenson Ribero's shit, in my opinion. Like, I think he's just a lamb to be slaughtered in these type of fights. He, like Tony said, he's unsuccessful against these undefeated up-and-comers. Like, I don't think he's won one. So he's like, I don't know who to compare him to. Just know he's just ass, and probably... like, if you need an undefeated light heavyweight to be brought up and stuff to debut, give him Brenson Rivero. That's just how I see it. I'll go first round KO for Magomed Tuchalov. I don't see myself ever picking Brenson Rivero to win a fight.
Yeah, more than anything, this is just a big fade of Brenson Rivero. He fucking sucks. He's lost to like everybody there is to lose to, it feels like, at this point. He did get that one like Camaro win against the Kazakhstani dude, Dr. Nergashay. So maybe there's a chance, but that dude was like coming off of roids. He didn't really look good when he was on roids. But this dude seems to be good. Tuchalov, not fighting great competition, really, but his last fight was a former UFC fighter, Kyle Mercado, and he KO'd him in the first round, so that's something. I'm just gonna have to pick him based on him not being named Brenson Hibero. Brenson Hibero sucks. This guy isn't Brenson Hibero, and I don't think this. Maybe he's worse than Hibero, but there's not a lot of people that are worse than Hibero. Let's be honest. Like Jose Medina's one of them. I don't really know after that. He's pretty fucking bad. Like maybe you can argue like Ozzy Diaz, but I honestly probably think Ozzy Diaz is better than Ribeiro. Maybe like Cedric Dumas, but he's like cut now. Like he's really one of the worst UFC fighters on the roster. Tuchelov, it's all kind of laid up for him to get a good victory in like his home turf, and I think he will. So Tuchelov, first round KO. Fuck it.
I just noticed he went to a split decision against Kai Machado, Renson Navarro, funny enough. But a clean sweep nonetheless. And I think, yes, that is 3 straight clean sweeps to start the card as we move on to the lightweight division where we have Ismael Bonfim representing Brazil, 20-6, going up against Axel Sola, 11-1-1, representing France. I picked Axel Sola in his last fight against Mason Jones. I was obviously wrong, but that's just a testament to how good Mason Jones is. He's the epitome of a dog, high motor, volume, output, not afraid to get grimy, get dirty in the clinch with the boxing, like very good fighter. And he got his ass whooped in that fight and could have got finished on multiple occasions, but showed grit, showed toughness, and I do rate that. I don't think for a second like Ismael Bonfim's got the dog, the motor, the output, the willingness to dig deep that a Mason Jones has. I don't see that in Ismael Bonfim. I think he was, highly touted. And a big example of that I would have, aside from obviously the Terrence McKinney flying knee, was the fight after that against Benoit Saint Denis, where he was a big favorite in that fight. And I picked BSD as an underdog, and I just didn't understand, like, why is he so much of an underdog? Like, they must really think this Bonfim guy is really good. And he's not bad, but he's not what he's cracked up to be. And I think his UFC career has kind of said that. He's, 2-3 in the UFC, and his only 2 wins are against like Vince Pichel and Terrence McKinney, old guy and guy who's kind of a first round or nothing type fighter. If you're remotely comparable, they're good, you win. Nazim Sajikov, it was a suspect stoppage, but I mean, that one is an asterisk, but still Nazim's not a bad fighter, even though he just got slept against, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. He lost to Gabe Green. Mateus Camilo, I think, yeah. Chris Padilla dogged him out. He missed weight in that fight, just broke him. BSD, I mean, yeah. I don't think very highly of Ishmael. I'm going to go Axel Sola. I kind of want to go late finish, but I'll say because of the staff that he's going to try to push a heavy pace. So I'll go second round sub Axel Sola. And I know Axel's not really a prolific grappler, but I think he's going to push a pace that's going to lead to actually, I'm thinking sub or TKO. It's just Ishmael's been subbed a lot. Moicano, BSD. I feel like it's going to be like an exhaustion type of thing where like he's just tired and he can't defend it anymore and he's going to take his back and he's just going to try to sink it in. I'll go Axel Sola, second round sub.
Yeah. Normally I don't really pick any of the French fighters just because they haven't shown me anything, but Axel Sola is one of the real Frenchman. Like he hasn't quit. He showed a lot of grit in that fight. I picked Mason Jones because I thought he was just your stereotypical Frenchman that just quits in the fight, but he's the OG Frenchman, as you could say. Like I think he's really good. I don't rate Ismael Bonfim at all. There was a point in time where people thought Bonfim was better than Gabriel Bonfim, but I didn't really see it at all. Beating Terrence McKinney doesn't really get you that cool points, little bro. I'm gonna go with I don't know what method I would pick. I'll go Axel Sola by TKO. I'll go TKO, second round TKO. I think he's gonna put up I think he's gonna put up numbers on Ismail Bonfim. I don't think Bonfim is that good.
Yeah, it's funny to think that there was a time we actually thought this was the better Bonfim brother. He knocked out McKinney when McKinney was, we didn't know he was going to lose in the first round every time. He only really lost to Benoit, whereas his brother lost to Dalby. And it's like, the guy that lost to Benoit is a lot better because Benoit went on to fight Dustin Poirier. And at the time, everybody was picking Benoit to beat Poirier outside of me. And I think Mike and some others. But I know Tony picked Benoit. But Bonfim has not looked good recently. Fucking looking shitty against Vince Pichel. Losing in like weird stoppage ways in a couple times. I remember he got like a cut against Sadikov, and they're just like, yeah, we're calling it. I want to say that's happened. I know that's happened for Sadikov a couple times. Maybe it only happened to Bonfim the once, but I want to say he had like a time where his eyes swell up and they stopped it. No, I'm tripping. But TKO Padilla, TKO Sadikov, finished by Benoit, and then the only win in all that is Vince Pichel, which is like very shitty, and Unk Pichel like put on a performance. And before that, his only UFC fucking knockout is Terrence McKinney. Shout out to Terrence McKinney. He's a fun scrapper, but he ain't good. Axel Solo fought with Mason Jones, and I want to say he beat Reese McKee in his debut, up a weight class. I like the way Axel Solo fights. He's pretty big for the weight class, and I could just see him hurting Bonfim with something and finishing it, whether it's like a cut stoppage with like an elbow or like body shots, because Axel Solo does go to the body, or just a KO or submission in general. I do think Bonfim. It's weird that his brother's like good at grappling, and he sucks, and like it's weird. But yeah, usually one of the siblings is good and the other one's is shit. Ismail is the shit one. So I think I'm pretty confident picking Axel Solo here. I think we'll get a finish at some point in this fight. I don't think Bonfim is durable or tough. I think he can kind of like keep it well balanced on the feet early before Axel Solo kind of puts a little bit more pressure on. Axel Solo, the bigger, more powerful guy, I think will eventually clip him with something, and then he can kind of grapple a little bit or just probably go for the finish. Took a lot of damage against Mason Jones, and I think like unless his chin is like fucking destroyed from that fight, which I don't think it is, that would be the only way he loses this fight. Bonfim's buns, Axel Solo moving on. TKO.
Yeah, I think I'm going to revise mine a second round TKO. I was thinking sub. He only has one on the record, and Bonfim has a lot, but I just feel like it's going to be Bonfim gassing out and just I think a TKO to exhaustion. Clean sweep nonetheless as we move on to the welterweight division, where we have the veteran Santiago Ponzinibbio, 30-9, representing Argentina, going up against Sam Patterson, 14-3-1, representing England. Couple of weeks ago, Argentina played England, so we got a little MMA version of that going on here. Ponzi, veteran, at one point was on a run where he could have potentially fought Kamaru Usman, but injuries derailed him. Not a bad striker. Fairly durable for having fought 39 pro fights, only been knocked out 5 times, never been subbed, lost 4 decisions. He's a good fighter. He's like, but despite his record being near 10 losses, like, considering his health has always been like a big question in his career, I feel like he's been an okay fighter. As for his opponent, Sam Patterson, the former lightweight, I think he's found a home at welterweight. His only loss is MVP, and mainly a striking bout where he really wasn't able to close the distance effectively at all. Couldn't get to any significant grappling exchanges or anything. That was a sparring match, basically. I will say his wins, not the best. Johan Linnes and Kiefer Crosby, but I rate the Danny Barlow win, the Trey Waters win. They're not like strikers like MVP's level, but nonetheless, they're athletic, rangy, tall, like decent strikers. I think Ponzi, the speed is like not there anymore. I think the older you get, your durability is going to dwindle. This is Sam Patterson for me, a bounce back performance. It's just a matter of does he get a KO or does he get a sub? Ponzi has never been subbed. He's been knocked out a majority of his fights. This could be a club and sub opportunity for Patterson. He's been knocked out twice, Patterson. He got knocked out by Yanela Schmooze. He got caught. He was in the wrong weight class, and He got first round TKO'd early in his career in his second pro fight. Kind of give that an asterisk too. It seems the way to beat him is you got to catch him early, and I just don't know when's the last time I Santiago's had a knockdown or a finish in the first round. Feels like a minute. So I feel like if he can't get him out of there early, Patterson's confidence will only build into the fight, and I know he's got all the grappling upside. I'll go Sam Patterson via. I'm tempted to go sub. Say he's the first guy to sub Ponzi. He hasn't really fought like a grappler in a minute. He did fight Carlson Harris, and he was in trouble in that fight. Fuck it, I'll be bold. I'll go club and sub. I could definitely see the knockout happening, but I think Sam Patterson, coming off a disappointing decision, I feel like he's going to be way more aggressive this time around. He's going to try to use his youth, his size, his pressure against Ponzi, make an old guy have to be a counterpuncher and see how fast he's able to do that. I'll go Sam Patterson. Second round club and sub. I could definitely see the knockout though, but I think Sam Patterson gets a finish either way. Bounce back.
Yeah, I got Sam Patterson as well. I picked MVP in the last exchange just because I just didn't think his fight IQ. This is the problem with an MVP fight. These guys, their fight IQ is so fucking lower down when they fight them. They think that they can outstrike them. The only one person in the UFC that actually fought like smart, crazy as it sounds, is Ian Gary, and that's the funny thing. Like, you can't strike with him. I thought, like, I don't know. I'm not gonna yap far too much about that fight, but I think he's gonna come in with better fight IQ, just because this is a Santiago Ponzinibbio that is just not as good as he once was. Like, there was a time where Santiago Ponzinibbio, he was on like this big win streak. He was gonna main event a Chile card against what's his name, Kamaru Usman. Like there was a time where he was actually like top dog. Now he's old. He's getting knocked out in every fight. He's just a shill of himself. I think Sam Patterson's better. I don't think losing to MVP really says anything bad about you, especially if you're trying to strike with him. Like, you deserve to lose. I don't think Ponzinibbio will have that advantage. I don't think he'll have the grappling advantage, and I think he's going to get starched. Argentina takes 2 L's in a row this week. I got Sam Patterson, first round KO.
Yeah, Ponzinibbio is just a bit old at this point. You know, like maybe in his prime he'd be able to get it done, and I'd be a little bit worried. I'd be like, oh, Schmooze knocked out Sam Patterson, Ponzinibbio, but I forgot which one of you said it. But yeah, Ponzinibbio really hasn't gotten first round KO since like Gunnar Nelson in 2017. It's been third round TKOs in decisions ever since, with a lot of KO losses as well. Never been submitted, which is interesting. He's been around for as long as he has never been submitted. He's clearly doing something right. So originally I was thinking club and slub, but maybe Sam Patterson will just go for the TKO and he'll survive, the submission attempts, and it'll become a decision. I'm not really sure, but I think, Sam Patterson's tall. He's lanky. He's a decent striker in his own right. Ponzinibbio takes a little bit of time for him to get going, and I think by the time he kind of starts working his way into this fight, it'd be like the middle of the second round, and by then, you'd take a lot of jabs to the face, probably be bleeding. You'd take a lot of low kicks. You'd probably have to deal with the level change things throughout the fight, considering he uses his grappling, or at least pretends to. But I like Sam Patterson's striking. At this point, I just got to trust in his striking over Ponzinibbio's. Even if he doesn't get a submission, I trust him to – well, I guess I don't trust him after that MVP fight to mix in wrestling. But I trust if he did, he would be able to win this fight pretty easy. I just think he's the better, younger fighter. He's still got potential in the UFC. That MVP fight was just a dud where he kind of didn't really shoot any takedowns and didn't close the distance and wanted to fight MVP at range, and it was terrible and one of the worst fights of all time that nobody talks about. That shit was literally fucking Derek Lewis and Ngannou. That shit was garbage. It was single-digit strikes, less than 5 strikes around. It was that bad. But yeah, I think he's due for an exciting comeback fight. So I'm going to give him the win here. Say TKO in the second round for Sam Patterson. Just wearing on him, being the longer guy in the first round, and second round comes out, Ponzinibbio's cooked, and he TKOs him. Patterson by TKO, second round.
Clean sweep as we move on to the light heavyweight division, where we have another UFC debutant, Muhammad Saeed, making his debut up against Dustin Jacoby. Interesting fight here in the light heavyweight division. Jacoby, he's just a guy I know more than Muhammad. Obviously, Muhammad's making his debut. Jacoby, former Glory kickboxer. He's got 30-plus pro fights. He's only been knocked out 2 times, and one of them was an injury TKO. So really, he's only been knocked out like clean, like the one time against Dominic Reyes. Not the best luck in decisions, 6-5. But 10-6 in the UFC, and most of his losses, it's like Dominic Reyes, Alonzo Menefield, in a fight that honestly, like outside of 2 knockdowns in 2 different rounds, it felt like Jacoby won the fight, but knockdowns won in the fight. That's just how it goes. Azamat Mirzakhanov went the distance with him. That was like up to that point in his career, Azamat's most competitive bout in the UFC. Khalil Roundtree, I think a lot of people felt like Jacoby got robbed in that fight. It was a split. Had a draw with Ian Kutalaba. And then you got the Glory kickboxing bouts against the likes of Simon Marcus and Alex Pereira. He got knocked out by King Mo. I mean, this is just a guy who's like seen a lot of different things in MMA and combat sports in general. A lot of experience. He's 38 years old. Does train at Factory X, which has been a gym in the midst of a lot of controversy and weird, suspicious things and outcomes of fights this year. But Jacoby's a good fighter. I don't really know too much about his opponent. It's his debut. He's representing UAE. He trains with Bogdan, Guskov, and Walter Walker, who are also fighting on this card. So I'm imagining they did their camp together. He seems to be a striker. Most of his wins are by knockout. No win really sticks out. Obvious level of competition is in favor of Jacoby. His amateur loss to Kuniev in a Russian championship isn't bad, I guess. That's something. He also is fighting on this card, funny enough. This is a weird one because I think Jacoby is the better fighter, but, he is getting older. You can get away with old age in these upper weight classes, though. He only has been knocked out by, like, King Mo and Reyes. That's a tough fight. Doesn't have the best luck with decisions. We've seen situations where, like, Jacoby's clearly winning the fight, and then he just gets randomly dropped, and then he'll lose the fight off like that to Alonzo Menefield. We have to say Alonzo's better than Muhammad Saeed, but how significant is the gap? I know he's coming off of a great upset win against Minyang Zhang, but, light heavyweight skillfully is not a great division. I do think Jacoby's a good striker. He doesn't really have crazy power. He did knock out Vitor Petrino, as I say that, but he's not really known for that, like, crazy power to separate himself. I just feel like he fights to close margins and point fighting type fights. I'm tempted to take the underdog here at Muhammad Saeed. He's the younger guy, less wear and tear. I feel like Jacoby's a bit one-dimensional, and unless he could, like, catch that perfect straight punch like he did on Petrino, like sniper perfect shot, I don't really see like a crazy power threat from him. I know he knocked out Julius Walker too, but I don't think Saeed's that easy to hit like a Petrino, like a Walker. I feel like Walker's kind of goofy, and Petrino, he didn't like the speed of light heavyweight, I guess, and that's why he moved to heavyweight. I'm yapping a lot on this one. I think Jacoby's the logical pick, but I'm a gamble. I'm going to take Muhammad Saeed by knockout in round 3 in just a great fight. I think it's going to be a back and forth. I think it's going to be a high-paced fight. I'll actually revise it. I'll go late second, just because he's never really been to a third round as I'm looking at that. And I don't really know too much about him, so I am really gambling on this pick. I just feel like Jacoby is getting older. He's hittable. He's not really elusive, and his power doesn't really separate himself. So even if he's winning the fight, I've seen him, like, fumble a fight that he's had in his hands against Alonzo Menefield, where all he had to do was just not get dropped, like not once, but twice to lose the fight, and he did. So I'm a gamble on Muhammad Saeed, late second round TKO, and a banger of a fight. A lot of yapping I did.
This is a tough fight. I was ready to kind of walk in here and pick Jacoby and let it like that be it and say I don't really know anything about Saeed. But I'm gonna be honest. I just watched this highlight reel. He is moving like fucking Vaughn. I'm watching it. I'm just hearing like in the back of my head like he was him, bruh. He won him. Like That's what I'm hearing in the back of my head. He's throwing fucking spinning back kicks, crazy head kick knockouts, and you get caught up in the moment. That being said, all of these guys are bums. There's like one guy who's like not a bum, and he's like 11-4, and the other guy that's not a bum is like 20-11, like still bums by like UFC standards. Now he's just gonna come in here and fight a guy like Dustin Jacoby. Saeed's known for being a very explosive guy, doing a lot of big stuff, big kicks. Jacoby's a little bit more minimalist with his shot output and selection, more normal strikes, like teeps, low kicks, jabs, straights, hooks, that type of stuff. Whereas Saeed will be giving you your spinning wheel kicks and big explosive movements, whereas Jacoby's are more set up. I do think that kind of is a recipe for Jacoby to get another 1-2 down the pipe KO. Saeed, I think it's harder than I originally thought, but just that style of being too open. We've seen that against guys like Jacoby before, where if you're too open, Jacoby can snipe you. And I don't know how Saeed can go if like he's in there with somebody who's not a bum. You're able to put up these crazy numbers and performances on bums, okay. But what happens when the opponent you're trying to do that to can actually fight back and do similar things to you? Throw good head kicks on you, time his own shots on you. That remains to be seen with Saeed. For that being said, I like the experience of Jacob. He's been there in there with Alex Pereira. A little bit old for my liking, but he's still proven he can knock out a lot of the unranked guys in this division. So I'm going to stick with him. Classic Jacoby, 1-2 down the pipe. Some Usman Masvidal shit. And KO Saeed. I'll say Saeed looks good, wins the first round. Second round is close. Jacoby's like starting to get momentum. And then just like all of a sudden at the end of the second or sometime in the third, he just switches off Saeed with a 1-2 after he like kind of starts huffing and puffing. Dustin Jacoby, third round TKO.
I'm surprised Tony picked Muhammad Saeed because I'm picking Muhammad Saeed. I thought I was gonna be the only one to be picking him. I like Dustin Jacoby, I really do, but I can't fall for this trap, bro. I fell for this trap before with Dustin Jacoby, and he's failed. Like I can't fall for it. I'm going with Muhammad Saeed. It's in a favorable country too. Like I think he's got something to prove here. I know this is a long shot, but I can't pick an old man Jacoby that has been taking damage. I know he's on a good win streak, but something's just telling me that he's gonna lose this fight by KO. I don't know what it is. He's not active enough for me. Well, nah, his last fight was this. He fought this year. But you know what I mean. Like I can't really confidently pick him. Like it's just not me. And he loses to these type of fighters. These like paced, powerful punchers. Like he lost to Reyes. I know that's not bad, but now in hindsight, after the Walker fight, it is pretty bad that you're getting slimed out by Reyes. Alonzo Menafield, I don't rate highly. I think he's shit, but and he kind of fud wrecked him. I'm gonna go with you said second round, Tony. I'll meet you down the middle with there. I'll meet you down the middle. Second round KO.
All right, as we move on to the heavyweight division, where we have Vulture Walker, 15-1, going up against Thomas Peterson, 11-4. Vulture Walker, man, he's been on a run. He's just been collecting these heavyweights heels. He's been heel hooking guys left and right. What is this? 3 straight? Sutherland, Nezachokwu, Dontel Mays, 4. It's been 4 straight. That's insane. Ever since he lost his debut, funny enough, to Lukasz Bershki in a fight that he just didn't look himself particularly. His Tapology profile, like it was either this picture or one before, but the point I'm making is that there was a point in time where when he came to the UFC, he was looking like this monster, just like crazy shape, above average grappling, crazy sub threat, and then he fights and he just doesn't look the same. It was like a Louis Sutherland kind of thing, where he looks like this monster on Tapology, but then you see him on the weigh-ins, you see him in the cage, and he just looks out of shape and fat, to be blunt. But then he, fixed it, went back to camp with Bogdan and Muhammad Saeed apparently and Gore MMA, and he patched some things up, and he's been on a run. He's just been bum rushing these guys and grabbing their leg, and they can't do anything about it. Thomas Peterson coming off of an upset win against Guilherme Pat, and a kind of a nothing burger of a fight. Guilherme Pat didn't really pull the trigger, and Thomas Peterson kind of reluctantly was just ahead on points throughout that fight. It was a majority decision. Before that, he lost to Vitor Petrino. He got slumped in the third round in a competitive fight. Then he beat Dante Mays. He's fought like different kinds of heavyweights. He's fought some cardio guys like Usman, and Petrino's got decent cardio for a heavyweight. And then he's fought blobs like Shamil Gaziev and Dante Mays. And he fought like a guy who was supposed to be a killer in Guilherme Pat, but clearly he's not. This fight to me is, does Thomas Peterson defend the heel hook or not? I do think if this fight is extended, it could get funny for Walter Walker. We haven't really seen his gas tank tested at like a high level or like a high pace. But Thomas Peterson in the fight that he won by decision, it didn't even really look like he pushed a crazy pace there. I give pretty much all the finishing upside, especially in the grappling, to Walter. I could even see a world where he maybe even catches Thomas with a TKO. I could see that happening as well. I do like that Walter's at least been to second rounds before, so at least there's that. And he's had a fourth round win. The guy wasn't very good, but at least he's been into the championship round, so that does give me some confidence as far as his cardio. I'll go Walter Walker via... I'm kind of tempted to go TKO. I know everybody's picking the sub, but Thomas Peterson can wrestle, and he doesn't have a bad gas tank. So I feel like all of his losses are TKOs. Outside of a decision, like majority of them are TKO losses. Petrino, Waldo, Shamil. I feel like Walter Walker could at least land something big, but he's probably just going to go for the grappling. So I guess it's safer to go for a sub. I'll go Walter Walker by second round sub.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Walter Walker as well. I don't know what method though. I know everybody's gonna keep spamming the heel hook sub, but I know at some point he's gonna change it up. There's no way that I know that's his signature and shit, but like, bro needs to come up with something new, bro. I'm kind of getting tired of this heel hook shit, even though it's pretty cool, but I'm over the heel hook shit. I need a rear naked choke or a Darce choke. I need to see like more out of just a fucking heel hook, dog. I'll go second round. I'll go second round sub as well. I'll go rear naked. I need to see more. I need more than just a heel hook, bro. I need more than just a heel hook. I think he can do it too. He's a great grappler. I could see a TKO too, but I'm going sub.
Yeah, Walter Walker coming back off a shin break. I want to say he had like a fractured leg. Yeah, no bueno. But Thomas Peterson is a can. This is a nice cushiony opponent to come back to. Not too hard. Whereas before he got injured, Walter Walker was like ranked and ready to move up in the heavyweight rankings. Thomas Peterson's definitely a big step down, but it's good for his predicament. I do feel like, heel hook wise, he could probably do it again. Thomas Peterson's shit enough and fat enough. But I do think we're due for something else. And he's been mentioning like he wants to get a submission that isn't a heel hook. And I think he has the opportunity to do that here with Thomas Peterson. Thomas Peterson does have a wrestling background, but he never really shows it very well. Thomas Peterson's like a guy where he can like get slimed out by Gaziev in the first round brutally, but he makes it like weirdly competitive on the feet with Vitor Petrino. It's hard to tell, and it's just because I feel like he's got a decent wrestling background, and he's not nearly as bad as he looks sometimes, but he's still shit. Like, don't get it twisted. He's still shit. Like, he's still like Louis Sutherland level. So this isn't anybody he hasn't, fought before pretty much in difficulty. But I do think the wrestling background that Peterson has, once they start getting to the ground, he's going to do something that wrestlers tend to always do against BJJ guys, which is turn their back. And I think Walter Walker will then get a rear naked choke because of it. I'll pick Walter Walker to get a rear naked choke. I think he's just a much better fighter. Maybe on juice, you never know. But I can tell you, Thomas Peterson is not on the juice. He's on the fucking milkshakes and ice cream. But yeah, Walter Walker, first round rear naked.
Yeah, in hindsight, I might revise it to first round sub because, like Alex said, like they do pounce on that shit when they see the sub opportunity, they really do try to squeeze it out. So I'll revise it to first round sub Walter Walker. Nonetheless, a clean sweep. As we head to the main card opener between Abubakar Vagayev, yes, going up against Saigid Isgakmayev. I'll be brutally honest, not too familiar with either fighter. I just know Saigid fought in UAE against Carlston Harris, and he fought in ONE FC. He was born in Machkala, so maybe he has some affiliation to the Habib Islam team. He looks like it. Vagayev seems more Chechnyan Russian. He's from Grozny, and he seems more like of the striking mindset. So just going off of like those like points of information and not really even watching tape, I'm going to assume this is a classic striker versus grappler matchup. I'm going to assume Saigid's going to want to grapple and Vagayev's going to want to strike. He's got the better record. He's the younger guy. He's fought in better promotions. He lost his debut by split decision against Nicholas Dalby, who, whether you think he's not good or whatever, he's a guy who's seen a lot of different styles. He has good conditioning, and he understands grappling, like the concept of it, whether it's the clinch or just getting up and defending takedowns. I think that's something. I'm going to go Saigid Isgakmayev by... He seems to be prolific with submissions. So I'm going to go Saigid by submission in round... Wow, he's 19-1 in decisions, this guy. Okay, so this guy is not a great finisher, but he knows how to win fights. Interesting. So I feel like if there's a finish, it definitely would be Saigid's submissions, because this guy is not a crazy knockout artist. Only 4 and 24 wins. That's not crazy. So if there's a finish in this fight, I think it will be Isgakmayev, unless it goes to decision. And I could still see a world where Isgakmayev wins because of grappling. But I think he needs to make a statement. He went to scorecards last time and got robbed. I feel like he's going to push it harder this time. So I'll go Isgakmayev by third round sub. I think he's going to drain him.
Yeah, I got Isgakmayev as well. I think he's going to destroy this dude. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'll go ground pound TKO in the late first or second. Like, I'll keep it short and sweet there.
This is a tough one. Both guys I kind of view as kind of like mid Dagestanis. To be fair to Vagayev, I haven't really seen him in the UFC. I did just watch both their highlights, and Vagayev definitely is better with the hands than Saigid is. The problem I have with Saigid is I already know you're a worse grappler than 40-year-old Nicholas Dalby going forward. I don't know about Vagayev. Vagayev might have pretty good wrestling. It doesn't look like it's crazy, but I will go with the assumption that Vagayev's wrestling is similar, if not better, than Isgakmayev's. Even just because he fucking struggled against Dalby. He lost in the grappling match more or less against Dalby. Dalby was more active, and it was a close fight, and that's what got the victory for Dalby. But I think Vagayev might have done more with the hands in that fight. He would be able to do damage on the feet against like a Nicholas Dalby and have the same attempts that Saigid does. For being like a wrestler base, both of them, Saigid really has to rely on it. I saw no striking in any of his highlight reel, whereas I saw Vagayev had plenty of striking in his highlight reel. And the wrestling looked pretty damn similar skill-wise. So I think in this fight, wrestler with striking versus wrestler with no striking, I'm going to pick the wrestler with striking. I feel like Chechnyans have been more successful as of late than Dagestanis as well. The really only exception to that rule is Islam and anybody named Nurmagomedov. All the other Dagestanis have kind of taken their ball and gotten home or gassed out. And got TKO'd. Like that whole card that Sagid fought on in his debut, every single Dagestani lost in that card. Whereas there was some Chechens on the card that got it done. So I'm going to go Abu Bakar Vagayev, a little bit of an older man, but I know Sagid Izagakmaev isn't shit. I don't know about Vagayev. And that's kind of the pushing factor here that makes me pick Vagayev. A little bit older, but the better striker, similar level of wrestling. And honestly, like you can train with Islam, that doesn't make you Islam. So I'm going to go Vagayev. Decision.
Mike, you gave your prediction, right? All right. As we move on to the heavyweight division, where we have Rizvan Kuniev, 14-3-1, representing Russia, going up against Tyrell Fortune, 18-3, representing the United States. Interesting fight here. Tyrell Fortune, his last fight, his debut against Marcin Tybura, it was weird. He had a great first round, and then it was a nothing burger in the second and the third. Like, didn't really separate. And in fact, when they read the scorecards out initially, they raised Marcin Tybura's hand by decision. But then it was a correction, and they made a mistake, and they ended up raising Tyrell Fortune's hand by decision. I think that in itself encapsulates, like he had a good first round, but did he really, win the fight? Did he really, make a statement as a contender in his debut? Things like that. As for Rizvan Kuniev, his last time out, I kind of felt like he got robbed. I feel like he beat Curtis Blades, and I picked Curtis Blades, which is kind of crazy. I felt like he clearly outdamaged him. Maybe you could give round 3 to Curtis Blades, but I don't know what he did in round 1 and 2 to win that fight. Rizvan showed above average gas tank than I expected. I felt like after a round and a half to 2 rounds, he'd definitely gas, and then Blades would take over. He kind of did that, but didn't really take over by a crazy margin. He just narrowly got out of there, in my opinion. And I feel like Curtis Blades is kind of a better version of Tyrell Fortune, but less dangerous. I feel like he's a less dangerous, better overall fighter than Tyrell Fortune. Similar style, American wrestling. I think Blades is bigger reach, more UFC experience, more proven cardio. I rate that. I rate that fight for Rizvan. He's favored here. So I'm going to go Rizvan Kuniev here. I could see a decision. Tyrell Fortune, let me see if he's ever been knocked out. He's only lost 3 pro fights. He's lost by knockout and submission. I'll go Rizvan Kuniev by decision. I think it'll be similar to the Curtis Blades fight, but I think he'll separate himself more in the later rounds, maybe even potentially get a late finish, but I think being in Abu Dhabi is going to be huge for him at this time. And it's funny because you would think against Blades, he would have had it in his back pocket, like immunity on the decision, but guess not. I think this time around, he'll win the fight. He'll get his hand raised. I could see a late finish in round 3. Kind of am tempted to take it the more I'm thinking about it. Not going to lie. But I'll say Tyrell Fortune's as tough as Blades to go the distance. I'll go Rizvan Kuniev decision.
Yeah, I'm going with Kuniev as well. Fortune didn't really impress me his last fight. He looked really good, like Tony said in the first round. I scored it for Tyrell Fortune, but it wasn't like oh my gosh, it was clearly him. No, it was anybody's fight in my opinion. I didn't really care about the decision, but I guess Tyrell Fortune got it right, and I got my prediction right out of it, though, so that was pretty good, I guess. I don't know. I'll go keep it short and sweet. I'll go Kuniev decision. I don't think this is going to be a fun fight at all. I think it's just going to be a boring 29-28 Kuniev decision or 30-27.
Interesting fight. Tyrell Fortune's debut really wasn't all that good. But to be fair, neither was Kuniev's. Kuniev lost to a kneeless Curtis Blades, and Tyrell Fortune won, but the judges read it wrong, and he could have lost against Marcin Tybura. But I think the biggest thing here is I think Kuniev would fucking sleep Tybura in 1 round. Tyrell Fortune had a good first round against Tybura where he like got right in his face, picked him up and slammed him right away and like kind of dominated him in the wrestling in the first round. But Tybura kind of like it felt like outworked him in the second and third. It's just that Tybura really didn't throw that many shots, so he was easy to get like out volumed despite him like shooting more takedowns and being the overall busier fighter in the fight. And Tyrell kind of looking like he blew his load. It was still close enough in the second and third round where you can give Tyrell the victory, and I wouldn't mind it very much. It was definitely the better outcome. Nobody wants Tybura to win, especially against somebody who's like coming into the UFC and is supposed to be a prospect. But one of them's got to die here. Or I think Kuniev just has more longevity in the UFC heavyweight rankings. He's got better striking. He's faced good grapplers before. Tyrell Fortune isn't going to be like the first UFC level grappler he's fought. He's fought Blades. He's fought fucking Jalton Almeida, who just shoots a million takedowns and won't stop you till he gets you there. I like Kuniev's defensive grappling as well if it comes to that, and I think his boxing is way better. I think he's good enough to keep this fight standing and KO Tyrell Fortune. And I want to say Tyrell Fortune got KO'd in Bellator by somebody. And, that's never a good look if you're getting KO'd in Bellator. I want to say it was like Sergey Bilistini heel hooked him, and Tim Johnson KO'd him. Ugh. That dude's like 44. He's like Stipe's age or some shit. Give me Rizvan Kuniev by Hall of Fame slime out in the end of the first round.
All right, as we move on to the next fight, this one is anger in the lightweight division. We have the UFC debut of John Pork. I know you guys see Magomed Zankunov. Ignore that. It's really John Pork. As he's going up against Damian Rizbecki. This is an interesting opponent from what I've heard. He allegedly trains with Ilya Tapuria's team. So this is like a Tapuria versus Makhachev kind of team matchup. But in all seriousness, this is a good fight. Rizbecki's got subs. He's got knockouts. He's a finisher. I think this is a worthy adversary to put in front of John Pork. We've been eagerly waiting for his debut, and now we finally get it. I think Rizbecki's got decent wins on the regional scene. This 12-2 and this 7-2 win are good. He's been in past the second round. He's well-rounded, but I just feel like he's fighting a world-class striker here for MMA standards in John Pork. And I'm torn between TKO and decision, but I think in Abu Dhabi, I just don't see John Pork losing this. Could there be grappling upside for Rizbecki? For sure, but this guy's training with Islam, so I feel like they're trying to make him like a perfect anti-grappler, a guy with elite striking who could defend the takedowns and just go to work. Literally his career is either KO or decision. Doesn't really attempt submissions. They don't really believe in that. They believe in top control and winning a fight as opposed to being on bottom. He's coming off a decision win in his last one. Rizbecki's never been finished. I'll give respect to Rizbecki. I'm going to go John Pork by decision, where he just, similar to his Dana White Contender Series fight, puts up a crazy, absurd strike rate and clearly wins the fight and outweighs the grappling attempts of Rizbecki. John Pork decision. Unanimous, clear.
Yeah, I'm going to go John Pork as well. I don't know, bro. I want to pick Rizbecki. I really do. I really, really want to. Because I was watching some tape on John Pork's Contender Series fight. John Pork got hurt in that fight. And I also, another thing that I saw, he kind of hits like a bitch a little. Like, he don't really hit hard. Like, I'm sorry to disrespect the GOAT, John Pork, like that, but he has no punching power. I think Rizbecki has the power advantage, the grappling advantage. It's just I don't know if he's gonna win in Muslim territory. I want to go Rizbecki. My heart's telling me to go with Rizbecki, but I think John Pork is gonna take it. I think he can win a close decision. I'm not gonna go close decision. I think he's gonna slightly win, just off numbers and stuff, and they're just going to go, oh, yeah, Rizbecki was holding his own in some of the rounds, but John Pork was outlanding him in the moments of the fight. So I'll go with a 29-28 split decision. John Pork. I just don't feel confident. I do think the fade will come. He hasn't fought in a year. We don't know if he'll fight, if he's going to fight again this year, so who knows. I really want to pick Rizbeki. I really do. I really, really do. I'm fighting the urge to not do it.
Yeah, this is a tougher fight than it looks like on paper. I know John Pork or Zainakov or Chanko, whatever you want to call him, is the kind of more well-known prospect, but Rizbeki is good and undefeated in his own right. He's well-rounded. He's got grappling ability. He's got boxing, kickboxing. But is he better than John Pork? I'm not sure. I feel like he's the scrappier fighter. I feel like John Pork's a little bit more clean, more technical. Footwork wise, I'll give it to, John Pork. Overall striking bag is John Pork. Grappling is hard because I feel like the person who would actually use the grappling in this fight would be Rizbeki. He would like get a takedown and actually do something with it. Zainakov wrestles but doesn't grapple. Like he shoots takedowns, he'll pick you up, slam you, and now it's back to the feet. Or he'll double leg you, hold you down for a minute, and then get up and reset. Like he doesn't really grapple. Like he won't stay on top of you. It's like he's fighting with the karate combat rule set. Like takedown, then he'll let you back up. It's just to disrupt you more than anything and get a reset for him. And I like that he kind of has his own way of striking and mixing MMA into his Muay Thai kickboxing game. Of course, he's Dagestani. He trains with Islam, and a lot of other good wrestlers. But yeah, I'll be honest. I absolutely love the John Pork memes. I know he hates it, but I mean, good luck getting him to stop. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be able to stop. I'll keep it. I'll keep it a buck. It's fucking funny. And Zainakov, John Pork, these guys, John Pork. It's good, and I'm rooting for him. One of the few Dagestanis I'll root for. I thought his contender series fight, despite it being a decision, was actually quite entertaining. He was dominant for all 3 rounds, and he showed you pretty much everything he had in that fight. He threw a ton of output, got great cardio. I think he's going to piece up Rizbeki here. I think Rizbeki will be gritty. He'll be tough. He'll shoot takedowns. He'll land some shots himself. I think it'll look similar to the guy John Pork fought on the Contender Series, where he's just in there with a good guy, somebody who's game, somebody who can stick in there for all 3 rounds. But I think it'll be pretty dominant for Zainakov. So I'll go John Pork, 30-27.
Clean sweep as we move on to the feature fight of the evening, where we have Islam Dulatov. It says on Tapology that he's representing Germany, but I actually think he switched it recently to Turkey, a couple days ago. He's 12-1 going up against Wellington Turman, representing Brazil, 18-8. Not too brief on this one. I'm going to go first round TKO Islam Dulatov. Turman has to force grappling exchanges to have a chance in this fight. I think on the feet, it's a stark difference, night and day. I know there was a time where Turman had a competitive decision with the likes of Randy Brown, if I remember correctly. Let me double check that. Hopefully he didn't get finished in that fight as I said that. Yeah, he went to a decision. I thought it was fairly competitive. That was the highlight of this streak here. These are just not – Turman's just not up to par. I know he trains with Teixeira and Pereira and all the Brazilian guys and shit, but he just hasn't put it together. His grappling isn't dominant enough. I feel like Islam's going to be too powerful, too accurate, too sharp, too fast. First TKO, execution, murder, beats the shit out of him. I just don't see it from Turman. It has to be a grappling exchange or he's fucked.
Yeah, I'm going with Islam Dulatov as well. Wellington Turdman, aka Smellington Turd Man. I don't think he's got it in the tank. I remember he was trying to Alex Pereira max against Randy Brown, and that shit fucking failed. He lost a very. I mean, he was holding his own. I'm not gonna sit here and act like he was doing shit, but obviously he wasn't Alex Pereira. I don't know why bro was switching his stances. I think he did train with him, so I could see why. But if he even tries to do that Alex Pereira shit against Dulatov, he's going to get slimed out. I'm going to go with a first round Islam Dulatov KO. I think he's just going to slime him out. And nothing else to break down on.
Yeah, we got the return of not only Islamam Dulatov, we also have the return of Smellington Turdman, our boy. I love Smellington Turdman. I'm glad he's back. But yeah, trains with Glover and Alex now. He kind of tries to fight like Alex despite having none of the experience or intangibles. He's like Poppy Geo trying to pretend to be Alex, pretty much. He fights like Poppy Geo. I'll say that. Like he just sits in the stance and like tries to throw a left hook like the best he can, but it's all, not really timed well and it's not powerful and it doesn't have like the pop that the real Pereira has because Turd Man is not the real Pereira. He started as a bit of a kick like BJJ artist, but he's kind of transitioned into like kickboxing more and boxing more, which I think is a fucking terrible idea here because Dulatov's a great striker. He's a big for the weight class too. Haven't really seen him tested in the grappling, so maybe Turd Man can try to do that in his traditional Schmellington ways. But Dulatov's a top tier prospect. He's young. He's been inactive, but he's young. He sat on the sidelines and probably improved in that time. Whereas I feel like Schmellington Turd Man's probably just like practicing his chamas and trying to become a better shadow of Pereira. But Turd Man has had his moments. Made it a close fight on the feet with Randy Brown. I know that it doesn't age like very good now, but Randy Brown should have been a much better striker than Turd Man in that fight. And Turd Man was still able to like break his orbital and shit. But I don't think that'll happen in this fight against Dulatov. Dulatov's, I think, a lot better than Randy Brown, a lot more powerful. I think he'll just put something on Smellington Turd Man's chin in the first round and put him out, and that'll more or less be it. Turdman will be doing the Alex Pereira fucking stance impression, but we all know, there's defensive weaknesses when it comes to Pereira. Don't imitate that part if you're Smellington Turdman, but he's retarded. So Dulatov first round KO.
Yeah, I fear it's going to look reminiscent of the Adesanya straight punch down the pipe as a clean sweep. As we move on to the co-main event of the evening, a good fight here where we have Australia's Steve Erceg, the former title challenger, 14-4, going up against Uzbekistan's Ramazan Temirov, 19-2, fresh off the suspension. This is a good one in Abu Dhabi. I rate Steve Erceg. I think he is a good fighter. All of his losses are complimentary. I know it hasn't aged as well, but nonetheless, these are names you recognize. Brandon Moreno, former champ. Kai Kara France, former title challenger. Alexandre Pantoja, former champ. This guy, Sean Gauchi, he's fighting somewhere soon. It's either Contender Series or PFL. He has a good record. He fights in the PFL. He's 11-1. He's not a bad fighter. And in the amateurs, he lost to Dennis Bondar. These are all names I recognize. As for Ramazan Temirov, coming off the suspension, he beat Charles John for PED.
Damn.
Yeah, that's rough.
Damn.
We're making good progress too.
John Pork.
Motherfucker, Tony.
Damn. I guess one of us could go while Tony's gone for a bit. Alex, you want to go or you want me to go?
You can go.
It was Steve Erceg versus
Temirov.
Yeah. This is a competitive fight. I want to go Steve Erceg. I used to be one of them Ursels, bro. I used to like Erceg, but Erceg is just I can't really confidently pick him. I know he's losing to like former champions. I thought he beat Pantoja. That's my opinion. I thought he won the off damage, but in moments, I guess damage-based criteria doesn't work in those type of fights. But it is what it is. I'm gonna go with Temerov. I just don't feel confident in picking Urseg in fights. He looked like shit against Moreno. I do think his last fight was the best Urseg we've seen in a minute. But I don't know if he's going to stay consistent on his performances. And there was moments he was looking a little shitty in the Tim Elliott fight. But I still think that was the best performance, the best Steve Ursig we've gotten. And I'll go with a 29-28 Temerov decision. I do think him being off juice could play a factor. Normally people that test positive for steroids don't look like they look when they perform. So we'll have to see how it goes. I'll go 29-28 Temerov decision.
Tony, you want to finish up?
Yeah, my Wi-Fi was tweaking. This is such an interesting fight. I feel like Urseg is more proven. He's fought higher level competition. I think all of his losses are comparable. I think Temerov's got the finishing upside, specifically in the knockout region. Then maybe there is a world where Urseg could pour it on late, but he doesn't really see, like, outside of Matt Schnell, like, he hasn't really gotten that UFC KO. I like his output. I like his anti-grappling. This is a really close fight. I really do feel that. I think Urseg's got more proven gas tank and fought better people, but Temerov in Abu Dhabi, I expect like every punch he throws will be graded and weighed twice as much effective because of the location and the venue of this fight. It's going to be that type of fight. I could see a world where, like Mike's saying, Temerov can get his hand raised via decision like he did in the Charles Johnson fight where he pushed through. I could also see a world where he wins by knockout. This is tough because I do like Steve Ursig and I think he is a good fighter, but I can understand Mike's concerns because of the Temerov power. Ursig will have the height and the reach advantage, but it just kind of feels like, the Ode Osborne fight, the Kai Kara France fight. Like, even to some exchanges, Tim Elliott didn't really rock him, but like if those guys could touch him, Temerov, it feels like with his power, it might only need to take one to get a real reaction out of him. And I feel like anything Temerov does is going to be graded way higher this weekend. So I'm going to follow suit with Mike. The line's flipped. Temerov's now turned into the favorite. He was at one point the underdog. I think it's for good reason. I think this is a very tough fight. This Urseg doesn't really worry me with grapplers. It's knockout power that scares me with him. I could see him fighting educated, sticking behind the jab, distance management, but I could still see a world where he's doing all that. It just takes one and he gets caught. And I'm going to trust in Temerov's gas tank. It hasn't really looked that bad. And to Mike's point, we got a bunch of guys who were on PEDs and got caught on this fucking card. So we're going to really see it. I'm going to go Ramazan Temerov via – I'll go – what'd you go, Mike? Decision? It could be like the Charles Johnson fight where just like big moments are weighed higher. Yeah, I'll go Ramazan by decision. He's 7-1 in decisions, so he's not just knockout reliant. Even though it's his main path, but he's proven he can win a decision too. So it should be a good one. I'll go Ramazan by decision, like Mike.
Yeah, it's hard for me to pick a fucking Steve Ursig now. Losing to Moreno at the time was like, who's going to win? They're both good boxers. And as time goes on, it shows you, no, they're both actually shit boxers. Kai Kara France was able to sleep Ursig. Ode Osborne put hands on him at will and almost fucking shinned him. That should never happen. Like, I know Ode is like pretty fast, but he's not good. And if you're like this top contender, you do terrible things to Ode. Ramazan, roid sheet, beat Charles Johnson. That's really it. I want to say that's really it. And fucking CJ Vergara, who's a bum. We don't need CJ Vergara, but he's got decent hands, decent kicks, overall good fighter, power in the hands. If he touches Ursig on the chin, Urseg's just gonna fucking die. Like I liked Ursig too, one of the Ursells, but at this point, it's just like I know he's ass, and I can't just reliably sit here and pick him in fights. I did pick him against Tim Elliott, but that is Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott doesn't have anything really for him to worry about. Urseg's always had good wrestling, and he's got decent boxing as well, but his chin, I think, is extremely weak. He's got the facial structure of somebody who's chinny. And that seems to be like the way to beat him. You hurt him and shut him down, or you just straight up knock him out. I do think he beat Pantoja though. But Pantoja's another wrestler. Tamarov, I think, will mostly keep this on the feet and try to land a knockout blow on Urseg. I think he'll definitely hurt him at certain points in this fight. Will he KO him? I think if he's able to hurt Urseg like more than once throughout this fight, he will finish him. So I'm gonna go for a rare flyweight TKO finish. I think Urseg's just chinny, as sad as it is. I think Tamarov will catch him, just coming off a roid suspension. Maybe he looks shit coming off a roid suspension, and he's flabbing, he is slow. But if he's, still sauce and low-key in Abu Dhabi, he's going to kill Urseg. I'm going to say second round, Tamarov at like a big overhand. First round will be close with him kind of like waving into the pocket, coming with the big hooks, and Urseg kind of fighting off the back foot with the jab. But I think Tamarov will sleep him second round.
All right, as we head to the main event of the evening, we have Magomed Ankalaev, the former title challenger, going up against Bogdan Guskov. Interesting fight here. It was originally going to be Khalil Roundtree. Could have been a tougher fight, but I think Bogdan puts up a way bigger fight. I think all Khalil Roundtree has, to be honest. He has some power in his hands, but I think it's just kicks. I think if Magomed Ankalaev wouldn't have got his leg kick, I think he does whatever he wants to Khalil. I could see a TKO via head kick. I could see wrestling upside. I don't really think too highly of Khalil Roundtree, despite him having, tough fights with Yuri and Alex and being ahead in those fights. I just feel like it's power or nothing with him. And you can make a similar case with Bogdan, but I reckon there's more finishing threat with the grappling. I actually do think he's the better overall grappler in this bout. He trains with Walter Walker at Gore MMA. I know it's not saying much, but I rate the finishing threat and potential of a Walter Walker higher than a Magomed Ankalaev. I guess you could tell by my tone and what I'm saying. I am going Bogdan Guskov here, and I know it's counterintuitive and to logic and all that, but I think styles make fights, and I think Bogdan is more dangerous with his hands. I think if Ankalaev doesn't decisively capitalize on the kicking edge he has in this fight, maybe the wrestling upside, I feel like this fight's closer, if not more favorable to Bogdan. I know it's what has Bogdan done to give you this confidence and prove that? Like I said, I just think styles make fights. He's a prolific finisher. He's got the submission equity, in my opinion. Ankalaev doesn't go for chokes. He doesn't do that. I feel like if anyone's doing that, it's Guskov in this fight. I think he's clearly more powerful with the hands. Ankalaev's got the edge in experience and kicking and wrestling, but I think Bogdan's got the edge in finishing, instinct, knockout power, submission threat. It's like a classic experienced decisionator kind of. I know people he has some knockouts, but let's be real, Ankalaev goes to decision more often than not. I'm gonna go Bogdan Guskov via. I'd love to know what round he dropped Jan in. Do any of you know that by any chance? What round Bogdan dropped Jan Blachowicz by any chance?
Second.
Round 2.
Round 2. He's been knocked out in the first round. He's been subbed in the third round. Ankalaev just got blitzed by Pereira. He just gave him no room to breathe. I think I'm going to go. I'll go third round TKO Bogdan Guskov in a scrap.
Close competitive fight. I don't know who I'm going to go with. Two dangerous styles. If Bogdan had a full camp, I'd go Bogdan. I'm going to go with Ankalaev. I think he's got the more camp-ready fight. I really want Bogdan to win. I think he can win. But, man, I saw some tape on him, and if he doesn't knock out Ankalaev in the first or second, he's cooked, in my opinion. I'm going to go with an Ankalaev decision here. I don't think he's finishing Bogdan, but we have seen him hurt people before. And Bogdan does get hurt a lot. He got wobbled by Billy Alicana. I didn't like that. I'll go decision. I'll go 48-47, 49-46 decision for Ankalaev. I'm going to go the safe route. I want to pick Bogdan. If he wins, I'm gonna be so mad because I wanted to pick him, but I'll be happy because Ankalev is out of the picture. I don't know how we got to a point where we've got Magomed Ankalaev fans, but I guess the world is just trying to be different. I guess I'll go Magomed decision.
Yeah, this is a tough fight on paper, especially coming off of a big loss for Ankalaev. But you got to remember, this is a guy who still did beat Pereira the first time in a mostly striking fight. I know Pereira has it as excuses, whether they're valid or not, if it was the best version of him or not. He did still beat Pereira in a striking match for the most part, along with a lot of cage holding and shit. But he did pretty damn good on the feet against Pereira. Uh, since then, obviously lost against Pereira in the rematch and has kind of been inactive. Supposed to fight Khalil. I do think Bogdan is harder than Khalil. I feel like he'd be able to get in Khalil's face, use his size, and just kind of 1-2 down the pipe and fucking blitz him with the boxing. I could see Khalil being afraid of him. But Bogdan's a little bit more fearless, I feel like. He's going to want to put this fight in the pocket, whereas Ankalaev's going to want to kind of fight on the outside. I think Ankalaev's kicks will serve him well in this fight. Guskov does kick a little bit, but he's mostly just hands. I think Ankalaev will be throwing more kicks here, although both will be mostly boxing. I don't see Ankalaev's wrestling really being that big of a factor just because I don't think it's that good. Bogdan, I think, has got a decent enough anti-grappling, but we've seen him get subbed by Ozdemir. We've seen, people have moments of success with him on the ground, like Billy Alakana on short notice, which is a terrible look. He's traded shots with Ryan Spann, stuff like that. Ankalaev's never really had those moments. He has been dropped by Thiago Santos, I suppose, in the draw with Blachowicz. They both had a draw with Blachowicz, but Bogdan had a draw against this version of Blachowicz, whereas I feel like Ankalaev fought a little bit better version of Jan. But they both kind of looked shit where Jan won most of the rounds, but the 10-8 saved them. But, I think Bogdan can KO him. But like Mike said, it's going to have to be early. It's going to have to be close. He's going to be able to have to get in Ankalaev's face. Ankalaev wants to keep this fight at a bit of a longer range, whereas Bogdan needs to get up close. If Ankalaev can keep the range, he'll win the fight, and he definitely got to keep it early. Bogdan, if he catches him early, he likes to put like combos together really fast around the guard, up through the middle, and he's a good finish finder. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bogdan does wind up hurting Ankalaev if he's able to finish him similarly. And kind of looked like when he did get hurt by Pereira, Ankalaev, he kind of like shit his pants, shot a terrible takedown, got it stuffed. And then, you would have Pereira in that case, or Bogdan in this case, raining down elbows or shots on top. But I am going to trust Ankalaev here. He's only really lost to Pereira in recent memory. Of course, the Paul Craig one back in the day. He's had some moments where he, has gotten dropped or hasn't looked the greatest or is taken to a draw. But I don't think he's ever had that happen with somebody as bad as Alakana outside of the Paul Craig fight all the way back then. But I'm going to trust him. Better draw against Jan. Win over Ozdemir, whereas Bogdan has the loss. Still one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time. I know nobody's excited for Olberg Ankalaev, but Paulo Costa can hopefully save us. Ankalaev should win. I'm thinking it'll be a decision. I think Bogdan will go for it, have some moments early, and then eventually he'll kind of start gassing out. He'll lower his output, and he'll start to fight Ankalaev's game on the feet, and it'll become a little bit more of a pitter-patter kickboxing match where Ankalaev likes to excel. So I'll say 49-46. Ankalaev winning most of the rounds, but Guskov has some moments where he does more damage and maybe hurts Ankalaev. But I'll go Ankalaev. Decision. And Mike, you already went? All right, that will be the last fight of today. Tony's already dipped. Yes, thanks for watching the video, everybody. Mike, you got anything else to add?
I'm just hoping the card delivers. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, it's better on paper, I think, than it'll be in reality. But yeah,
I think it's better than the OK. Sorry, I cut you off. I think it's better than the OKC card for sure.
Okay.
But the OKC card did perform well for how mid it looked. So I'm expecting the same for this one. I'm pumped for a couple fights for sure. I'm not too pumped. I think it's going to be boring, but if Mike Davis can keep it competitive, I do think that could be fun. I do think a couple other fights could be pretty entertaining. So we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, agreed. All right, everybody. We'll see you soon. Peace.